So I have 115 eBay orders to pack, and it is exactly 8:50 p.m. in the nighttime. So I'm going to try to pack as many as I can. Thought I would just hit record on the camera while it's set up here. Yeah, we on our eBay store, we got 115 orders for a total value of $3,589. So that's what we're doing. We're going to be packing a bunch of orders. I'm going to show you how I do it. I have been running around for the last few minutes, like bringing everything into the room, of course. That's what we call picking. And I did a little bit of showmanship, let's say, where typically I would just take all of these big packages, like the big boxes behind me over here, that are listed to my store, then they sold, and when I list them, I already packed them up in their box, so all I got to do is slap a label on them. So that makes these bigger orders really easy. But unfortunately, I had to carry them all upstairs because I wanted to show them to you. So that's what I did for you, my viewers of the YouTube channel. Thank you guys all for commenting. It's just so fun. I love all the interaction. Again, I think I've mentioned before, but it's worth mentioning again that the whole reason I started this YouTube channel is just to connect with other cool eBay resellers or just nerds about this kind of stuff. So thank you for nerding out with me about eBay reselling. So we're gonna get down to it. 115 orders to pack. I just see another eBay notification. Yeah, I just sold something else, but it's small, and maybe we'll get it at the end of the night. That's gonna happen, but for now, we got 115 orders. Now 116, I guess, but in this room at least, I believe I have all 115. So I've already picked them. The small stuff is spread out across 3 boxes behind me, and then the big stuff is already packed up in boxes. The only big things that I will need to pack are I have 2 Guitar Hero guitars, and the reason that I don't pre-pack those is because often I sell them in bulk to the same buyer. Often they'll buy multiple listings, and so often if I do that and I've already pre-packed them in boxes, I would have to open those boxes back up to try to maybe consolidate to get 2 or 3 or 4 into a single box, depending on the guitar. So this way I can do that. I can pack both of these guitars into a single box. And the reason I sell a lot of these Guitar Hero guitars to buyers is because I sell them as untested, because I don't feel confident testing all of the buttons to the accuracy that an actual Guitar Hero player would expect. I like Guitar Hero, but I'm not at that level. And if you actually want a guitar to perform, and for me to be able to claim it as tested would be a little bit too far for my expertise right now. And so I'm going to sell them as untested, and that actually makes the guitars, for me, a really quick item to turn around, because all I got to do is just take good pictures and just say they are untested, because that is the truth. So I sell them a lot. I just lower the price, and I figured out the price that they sell at untested. You just got to figure out the market just like any item. Look at sold comps, and if there aren't any, maybe just try out a price and see what happens. You never know. So got a bunch of items, got a bunch of bubble wrap, got a bunch of poly bags. You guys know the drill. Got my tape gun. Hopefully I won't have to use this guy very much. This loud tape. I haven't investigated the quiet packing tape, but I read a couple reviews that said that it wasn't as sticky and that it wasn't as good, and that was enough for me to stop. If there's anything that's going to cause one of my items to fall out in shipping or anything like that, like, I'm out. So I'm going with the loud tape until I can find some silent tape that actually works. So 115 items. And now I can see on my camera that I've been blabbing for 3.5 minutes, and I've packed exactly 0 items. But at least now, hopefully you, as the YouTube viewer, feel like you understand what's happening. This is the late night session of eBay reselling, when you've been having too much fun hanging out with your family all day. And also getting rid of these stupid Dell monitors that I mentioned in my last video, mentioning this huge mistake that I made in the business. I listed a whole bunch of them today and got them all packed because I just want to get them out of this house. So I'm going to get to packing over here. Let's do this. So I've got Chrome pulled up on my computer. I just use a regular PC. You might be able to see it behind this little honeycomb thing. It's just like a regular Windows 11 PC. Mine's a little bit of a gaming PC because I like to game. And I've just got all the cables coming down and over here to a standing desk. It's an adjustable desk where I like to stand. And I've got a little USB hub, and that's where I plug in my label printer and my keyboard and mouse and all that. So you guys understand how computers work. So I'm gonna get to it. I think I'm just talking at this point, so I'm just gonna start typing in the model number here, P25M. It is worth mentioning again that I use this Chrome extension called Type Ahead Find And I'm going to be using that for every single one of these items, basically, all 115. It's just saving me time. And what it does is it skips the need for typing Control F to search for something. So I just immediately started typing in the model number of this item, and it just immediately started searching for this item. I didn't have to hit Control F every single time. So just saving a little bit of time, especially when you're talking about 115 items. Even if it's saving a few seconds, that's like multiple minutes of time saved. Like, it doesn't take that long to start really adding up, even these tiny little tweaks to your system. So I'm always thinking about ways to improve my workflow. And I'm going to try to just verbalize it on this video, I guess, so I can walk you through it as well. So that's what we're doing. 115 items, hopefully, if we haven't sold any more. Wait, we did sell more. Oh, I always do this, but thankfully that printer's out of paper. That's actually so lucky. My computer just defaults to the last used printer, and I was using my big laser printer over there for something else, for an Amazon return, I think. And then I always click my next label on my eBay store that I want to click on my label printer. It's so often that I accidentally click it. And then I print that first label on a big old chunky piece of paper, and I don't even want to take the time to tape that on, so I just reprint it on my label printer. You've probably been there. So I've got two little Xbox 360 wireless adapters. One of them is my normal tested and working, grade A, you could say. And then this one is the one that I sell as grade B, where, and this is just so common. I would say about 50-50 at this point. Just the rubber, for whatever reason, that creates the hinge for these things just wears away. So the antenna's just kind of flopping around, but in a lot of cases, this wire is still totally intact and working. And so I still sell these as grade B. I sell them for about $6 cheaper. So I'm going to go back to my pirate ship. I'm going to type in grade, and that should pretty quickly bring me to this grade B Xbox 360 wireless adapter. So I'm going to go ahead and get that thing shipped out. So last time I did this massive over $3,000 of eBay orders trying to pack in one video. I did all the big stuff first, and this time I think I'm going to try to do the small stuff first, because doing the big stuff first was just demoralizing. Maybe it's always going to be hard. I'm expecting it to be hard, that's fine, but it was hard doing all, the big ones are a little bit slower to move and pack up in some ways, so I'm going to try doing the small stuff here first, or at least some of the small stuff. I'll take you guys along with me. And the comments have been so good. Speaking of comments, I've got a few questions from the comments I'm going to answer. I think I copied them down. It's been a lot of fun hearing from everybody, even other YouTubers that I follow. Just so cool. Guys like Disgruntled Octopus and Ethan Lupo and Josh Graff. Shout out to you guys. And even a lot of other people that I'm seeing that are in the Tech and Sports Facebook group, and they're all giving me some shout outs about my YouTube channel over there in the Facebook group. And I try not to advertise it too much. I'd rather just keep this channel small and positive and full of people who actually care about this stuff. So we're not trying to get big over here. So with this one, I'm going to search networking, and that will bring up my listing for this one. It doesn't even mention a grade. I didn't have room for those keywords for grade A in the keywords, so I just have it listed as what it is, which is a tested, genuine wireless adapter for Xbox 360. Sell this one for $18.99 plus shipping. And in my store, my cheapest shipping policy is $6.99, so all of these items should be, at the very minimum, an additional $6.99 shipping charged to the buyer. And that will be the case for a lot of these items here in the beginning. This is a lot of good small stuff. So this one, not so good, just because they're pretty common and just not a whole ton of demand right now that I can find. But this is just a genuine PlayStation 2 memory card. It's like the one that says 8 megabytes on the front. I get it for PlayStation 2. This one's just gonna need just a single roll of bubble wrap. And if I can just fold over both ends and then roll it like a burrito, I can get a whole bunch of, at least 2 layers all around the memory card, and they're very sturdy anyway. Never had an issue. That goes into a small poly bag. And I have my scale here, of course. That's really all you need as an eBay reseller. You need a label printer, I think. You need a scale. You need a computer, and you're good to go. Smartphone, or some kind of camera, I guess, as well. Smartphone has been so great. And the eBay app does crash, and it does glitch, and there's always those things, but I have a bit of a different perspective on all these eBay glitches that happen. Because another complaint that I sometimes hear, but I think might be less and less common because I don't see evidence of it, is that eBay is this monolith and they're not moving quickly enough and they're not adapting. If I see websites or eBay iPhone apps breaking but then being quickly fixed with a patch maybe the next day, that to me just means that they're trying to build things. You know, when you build things with code, often you break things. So that's my experience with software, at least. So I'm going to type in X8, which is the little tag where I found this thing, and that brings this thing right up. I'm also going to verify the model number along with the model number on the screen, and this matches. So these things are just gold, man. And this is a Guitar Hero Les Paul. This sold for $49.99. This is just the USB receiver, and these things always worth picking up if you can find them. So $49.99 plus shipping, and it takes, 2 sheets of bubble wrap plus a poly bag. The poly bags are about 5 cents each. And actually, these American Bubble Boy, which is the best bubble wrap out there, American Bubble Boy bubble wrap, for me, I believe is about 5 cents per sheet, which is like a 12-inch. I consider them sheets because that's where they're perforated, every 12 inches. So every 12 inches is about 5 cents. As far as I can remember, last time I calculated on this bubble wrap. So this is 15 cents of packing material. Again, I charge $6.99 shipping, and we'll see, the label's only $4.25. But we're eBay, we're doing a job here. Like, we also need to consider that we need to get paid for our time. Like, there is no need to feel bad about taking some profit here, including in the shipping cost. Like, we are resellers. Like, we're trying to make money in this exchange and just find a buyer that's happy to buy the item at the price that we're asking. And shipping as well, like, in some ways we do congratulate each other and pump each other up when we can increase our hourly rate, whether we're saying like, I'm just increasing the prices for my clients coming in, or whether you say, I got a raise, or whatever your situation is. Like, increasing your hourly rate for work should be good. Man, these things should be good. Anyway, I gotta hear something. Back. We should feel good, and I think we should feel good for other people as well when we can increase our hourly rate, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I very much relate to Phoenix Resale when he talks about being profit positive or money positive. Like, it's good to increase your hourly rate. That's what we're here to do. So let's not feel guilty about that stuff. All right, we're making progress here. I'm going to try to settle into a groove here, moving a little faster, because at this rate, we're not going to get a whole bunch done. So this is a Donkey Kong cartridge for Nintendo DS. This sold for $9.99 plus shipping. We're going to take this profit. We're going to take the profit where we can, both on our purchase price for the item and also for our purchase price for the shipping materials and for our time. Like, we're just increasing what we're getting paid for our time as an expert shipper. Like, I'm going to get this thing to you on time, super quick. We have 1 day shipping on our store, 1 day turnaround, like 1 business day. That's why I can let 3 days build up in this case, because it's been a weekend. So items bought on Friday don't actually have to be shipped until Monday, technically. But I try to get these items shipped on a night like tonight, which is a Sunday night at least, or at least to get them packed, because then I can schedule them for pickup on Monday morning. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Whew. All right, let's keep moving here. Yeah, we got some good high profit items over here. A lot of these smalls are just so valuable. It's fun to start with the smalls. This is Marvel versus Capcom, PlayStation 1. Whew. Yes, so good. Let me bring this up here. One of my rules that I try to follow for myself is to pull up the get rates page on Pirate Ship before I start packaging this thing up too much, because sometimes I am off in my own world and I'll forget what I packaged up. I'm sure you've done it too. You know, after I've already pulled off the sticky thing, and you seal it up, and then you're like, wait, what game was that again? So you don't have to worry about that if you've already pulled up the page. So I just try to, before I pull off that sticky, I'm like, I want to make sure that this is pulled up already so I'm not forgetting, because I'm also going to be chatting with you all this time. So I sold this for $60 plus shipping. Great find. I love this. Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes. So fun. Such a fun game. I love all the crossover fighting games. This is Magic Trackpad 2, All Alone. I'm just going to search Magic real quick on my keyboard. Pull this item right up. This sold for $49.99 plus shipping. And this one is, I believe, made of glass. So it's going to get quite a few layers of bubble wrap here. And I think all the corners are going to be pretty well protected in that case. I would guess, how many layers in here? Maybe like 7 or 8 layers on each side of this bubble wrap. And that's looking at 9 ounces. And I'm putting that on my scale before I put it in the poly bag. And this is just another tip, I guess, to save a few seconds each time, but this is gonna add up over time, right? So I'm gonna pull up the shipping label, type in, or at least select, on Pirate Ship, I can just select the weight with my mouse because I have a bunch of presets. So I just selected the weight with my mouse, and I'm already starting to pull up the shipping label as I'm finishing this step. So now I can just click buy label and I'm one step closer. I just gotta click print. So it just allowed me to have to wait for one less website. And then that gets me one step closer to printing the label, putting it in here. Right now I'm just throwing these into piles on the floor because eventually I will have to count them for the pickup. Both, you know, basically all the pickup services want to know how many packages that they're gonna have to expect in the morning. So I'm going to count these as I put them into their final IKEA bag, or at least final until they get picked up, and then the IKEA bags get brought back to me. So right now this is just going to the pile of all the USPS packages. And we got an offer on another item. That's cool, but a little bit distracting. An offer of $10 for a $19.99 item. I'm going to wait on that. I can respond another time. So this one is a 4 parts Nintendo Wii U gamepad. And I just had the SKU number here, 5030, so I'm just going to type that in to my computer, bring this up. So all the broken ones, I want to make sure that that person's getting the correct one. Of course, so I want to make sure that these SKU numbers are all individual to each item in my store. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up with bubble wrap, just like I would a normal gamepad that was tested and working. I want to make sure that it gets to the buyer in the exact same condition that it was in the photos. I'm going to wrap it up, put it in a box, as I typically do. So this one is going to have to require a little bit of tape. But unfortunately, there are just apparently no good silent packing tape options right now. Like all you inventors out there, let's get on that. All right, we're done with tape for now. One of my favorite things about this 3-inch tape that I have linked in the description, just because I believe in it so much, it holds it closer to your hand. But then 3-inch tape, this packing tape that's a little bit wider than your standard like 1.8 or 1.9 inch tape, is wide enough to seal a box with just a single layer. So you're not having to go all the way around multiple times to make sure that all the flaps are down. It's wide enough to hold down both flaps of a cardboard box. You can just go over it with a single layer. It really is so much better. So 3-inch tape for your time is a great bargain. So we're going to stick to that. I'm going to type in these dimensions here, which is 14 by 7 by 5 is the dimensions on the box. It's 1 pound, 6 ounces. So now we're moving. Okay, I'm feeling in the groove now. I feel like we could maybe do 115 items, even with this squeaky monitor over here. I don't know, for some reason when I was just moving my desk, my monitor was squeaking a whole bunch. But I don't need to move my desk very much. Thankfully, this camera is actually attached to my wall. So even if I do shake this desk, hopefully it won't shake the camera at all. All right, yeah, this is great. All right, I'm just gonna move this right up here. This would just allow me to not have to be bending down as much, save me some time there. So I'm gonna finish these smalls. I got 4 more small things in front of me, and then I'm gonna start in this giant box, this milk crate right next to me. So this is 2, oh, as I just throw one across my desk. These are 2 of the same thing, and they both have the little paper intact, so the person can still stick it onto something, but this just holds up the little Wii sensor bar, you know, on top of your TV or in front of the TV or whatever. So it's just a little slight stand, and it just holds it up. And also means that you don't have to put as much of the sticky stuff on the Wii U or the Wii U. It's the same sensor bar. As much of the sticky stuff on that to attach it, you can just put the sticky stuff on this, and just this kind of clips in. You can add a little extra if you want. Anyway, I'm talking way too much about this very minute item. They're very small, but there is a pretty high demand. I love these. They always sell out in my store. I think I only sell them for $2.99 or $3.99 plus shipping, so I'll make a couple bucks on shipping too. But I'm just going to type in the sensor, because I know it's a sensor stand. Yes, official OEM Nintendo sensor bar stand. This is the RVL-016. I couldn't quite remember the model number, and I think this is a good sign that I am getting old again, which I think is a pleasure. It's a privilege, but I didn't want to have to squint and read the model number on this tiny little thing, so I just started typing in the other words that I knew I could use to find it, and that worked as well. But then for the second one, since I did sell 2, I'll type in the model number. Help me remember as well, RVL-016. So for this one, the default setting on my pirate ship is my smallest poly bag and a 4 ounce or under weight. And so I can just select that really quickly with just my mouse. I don't even have to type anything in if an item fits into my standard item for a lot of my small stuff and the stuff that I try to pick the most of in my store, since I am limited in space, selling all this stuff just out of my house here. Smallest poly bag and the lightest weight class is my ideal item. And thankfully that is the default setting on my pirate ship for a reason. I think that is the setting that I use the most often, and the combination of things that I use the most often. And all these things, little DS cartridges and Game Boy cartridges, memory cards, little accessories like this. This is the stuff I love to sell. I can fit a lot of these into a box. And with enough organization, you can really have a very profitable store in a very small space. I was very drawn to Lego reselling for a while, but I just wasn't convinced that the profit was there. But for me, electronics is there. Lego reselling, I think it's profitable for some people, but it seems like a lot of work. It almost seems like a farmer, like it's a labor of love as well. You really have to love it because it's so much manual labor. Like, it is small things that you're doing, but sorting all those Legos is actually quite tiring. Like, I have dipped my toes into Lego reselling and completing sets, or all that kind of stuff, and man, that's just not. It's just you can invest hours for a single item in your store, and it's like, how much money am I possibly making? So on some of the items, it might make sense, but what I found was, some items I was imagining, you can find these Eiffel Tower Lego sets. Some of them are worth up to $800. And you can imagine finding one of those for $200 to $400 on Facebook Marketplace, but not knowing if it's fully complete or something, so you want to build it just to make sure. Because as far as I know, that's the most effective way to make sure everything is there, is just to build it. Anyway, you might imagine like, oh yeah, you can flip that $200 to $400 into $800, but actually it's really hard and would probably take you 10 or 14 hours to actually build that Lego set. Like, it's not just 1 or 2 hours to build these massive Lego sets, and typically it's the sets with a ton of pieces that are worth a lot of money, but often the sold comps for a lot of money are the ones that are complete, and it takes a lot of work to be able to guarantee that a used Lego set is complete. And so I don't think there's a ton of money to be made doing that. But a lot of the big stores that I've seen that are somewhat successful as far as Lego reselling are these people that are buying Lego sets that they find, clearance, or maybe after a holiday, some kind of retail arbitrage, stuff that reminds me a lot of retail arbitrage, just like following the sales and taking advantage of coupons and stuff like that. But they'll buy these Lego sets, and then often they'll go ahead and open them up, break them down, and then sell the individual pieces, including just the minifigs and everything. And you can quickly run a calculation on some of these websites where you can type in your buy cost for a Lego set, and then it'll bring up the approximate cost of all the pieces in that set if you were to sell all of those pieces. But I just got a little bit freaked out by the fact that, you know, even a small Lego set is maybe 200 pieces. And if you actually are, you know, you can run that number and it might seem great, like maybe even a 3x or a 4x profit sometimes. Or if you buy, especially if you're buying these Lego sets for 50% off and then you do the math, you can imagine getting like at least a 4x profit from your buy cost. But, so what I'm saying is a small Lego set is 200 pieces. Yeah, that's just your typical $15 to $25 Lego set. Retail is going to be about 200 pieces. The problem with that is that that's 200 items you have to place into your inventory. And then when they get sold, often individually to these people who just need a few pieces, if they're buying on one of these used Lego sites that especially people go for parts and pieces, you're gonna have to individually pick and then ship all 200 of those pieces. And that's basically 200 items you have to ship for an item that only originally was a $15 to $25 retail value. And that just sounded hard. That sounds like farming for some reason. I don't know why I keep bringing that up. Something about that just seems like a real labor of love. Maybe not the most profitable thing. And right now, since I haven't exactly hit my number where I'm like, I have enough money to be okay, like my kids won't have to worry about me. Like I want to at least hit my number, hit my FIRE number, if you know, from some of those FIRE communities. I've read some of that stuff. The FIRE is an acronym. It stands for financial independence, retiring early, or retire early. And there's a lot of discussion about, you know, investments and, you know, different tax sheltered savings accounts and all that stuff. And a lot of focus on figuring out what your number is, that if you basically to retire, to basically not have to worry about ever again having to work. If you can eventually put enough money into investments, then the money that you make back from those investments might end up paying for your lifestyle to kind of allow you to go on indefinitely. So a lot of that is just doing the math, like what's your number? So yeah, obviously that number is really big though. It's like millions of dollars, more than $1 or $2 million. I don't know. It's maybe, I mean, like 1 or 2 might be great for depending on your lifestyle. But I'm thinking maybe I'd want to help people start businesses in my life, or I'm not got like big dreams, but even 1 or 2 million would be really hard. Like we're obviously not there yet as far as just like liquid assets or stuff that we could just live off of. And this is about keeping the profit. Like I'm not shy about that. That's why I've named this channel what it is. Like I want to be really honest about that we want to get paid a lot for our time. Like that is important as a business owner. Nobody's going to give you a raise. Like that's up to us. It's up to us to do. So I'm going to help bring you on this journey of trying to figure out how to become more profitable as a business owner. And the way to not do that is to just yap by yourself in your room to a camera when you should be listing items because you had 115 items to do after you hugged all your kids and then you came into this room. Oh wait, am I talking to myself out loud? Yeah, oh my gosh, I should get back to working over here. Yeah, thanks. Talking to myself reminds me of your conscience and the idea of letting your conscience be your guide. And I wonder, especially back in the day when it was made, how influential, as far as empathy, that movie Pinocchio was. Like, it seems a little scary these days. In fact, I think my I have a completely irrational fear. I don't have many of them, but one of them is around whales. For getting, you know, my boat, even though I don't even like sailing, maybe this is why, but I'm afraid of a whale coming and swallowing me or bumping me over. And of course in Pinocchio, there's the swallowing by a whale. Anyway, the reason that I brought it up, made me think of it, is whenever me and the kids are home alone and we want to watch a movie together, it's after dinner and we got another hour or 2 before bedtime, my favorite thing to do has been to pull up Metacritic.com and then just to go to the best family movies of all time. Just sort, you know, it doesn't matter what time. And number 1 is Pinocchio, which at first I was like, Pinocchio? But, you know, Pinocchio is where Jiminy Cricket came from. And that idea of letting your conscience be your guide, and it has been so influential for so long, like, I was like, okay, maybe we'll watch it at some point, but for now, I'm too much of a chicken. I don't want to watch it. I'm too scared. No, thank you. No movies with scary whales. Not for this guy. Well, all of these are just pairs of Nintendo Wii remotes and nunchucks here. And as I mentioned before, my wife has taken up this hobby. Instead of doing something like knitting, we're both on the same page. We're both business owners. We love doing this stuff. We love working together. But she'll just sit on the couch or in her chair, and she'll help me process these, or she'll end up actually just doing the whole thing, where these Wii remotes are tested, cleaned. You know, we take all these straps off and we wash them in the washing machine. We take all these silicone covers off. We wash them separately in the washing machine. We take the backs off and we wash those, of course. And we put it all back together. We test everything. Everything's all clean and nice. And we just keep selling this one listing on our eBay store over and over again. We've just sold so many of these. So these sell for, you know, we accept offers. So this one sold for $15.99 plus shipping. That is awesome. And I've talked about it before, but having the ability to, you know, we don't always have these in stock, but I've got that eBay setting where it kind of remembers that listing, and it remembers how many sold you have, how many sold of this particular listing. And I do think the buyers care. I think that increases trust and allows people to want to buy maybe even multiple from you. They see, oh, a bunch of people have bought this item before on eBay. You know, people are aware that when you buy on eBay, you don't always know where it's coming from. It often is just coming from a person in their garage. So it's nice to see that there's a lot of other satisfied customers. It reminds me of back when I used to have a food cart, and you'd see a food cart that had a long line coming out the front. And you're like, oh, I trust them. They got the good food. I'm going to go to the place that's busy. You know, their stuff's at least fresh. So I got another one that I've already packed up with bubble wrap, also sold for $15.99 plus shipping. So these just go out so quick. They take 2 sheets of bubble wrap and a poly bag. So again, just 15 cents of packing materials. And it's already preloaded on Pirate Ship, remembers exactly the dimensions. It's my smallest poly bag, and then in the second smallest weight class, under 8 ounces. So it's already preset. I just got to click get rates and then buy. And there is an ability on Pirate Ship to select multiple items and then click get rates. And so you can actually get rates for multiple items at once, and then print multiple labels at once. And I, in general, don't like doing that, because this is just a feature of the website that I've noticed, using this website for so long, is that when you do that, the results that it will give you, how do I explain this? It's only going to give you results from a single carrier, either USPS or UPS, and in some cases, if you have, and let's just say in the simplest example, if you're trying to get rates for 2 different items, sometimes one of the items would be cheaper UPS, one would be cheaper USPS, but it's not going to show you that if you get rates for both at once. Pirate Ship is just going to assume that you want the same carrier for some reason. So it will just show you whichever carrier gives you the lowest combined overall price. But actually you, as the buyer, if you're like me, I have a big pile of both UPS and USPS packages. So I don't really mind which one it's going to. And I think UPS is great. I think USPS is great. Both of my pickup people are awesome. So I'm just like, give me the cheapest label. So anyway, over here yapping. I can't get label over here. So that's why I always do one by one, basically is what I'm trying to say on Pirate Ship. That way I'm always getting the cheapest carrier, essentially, that still fits within my shipping guidelines that I chose on my eBay listing. So again, trying to keep as much money as I can. So this one was only $4.57. I got only 15 cents for shipping, and I charged $6.99 as well. I believe this listing is so old, it might actually be $5.99, because that was my previous lowest shipping amount, and then I moved my whole store up to $6.99. But I think that this listing has actually been active and going so long that I haven't had an ability to update the shipping because all that stuff is locked because I have current offers out or somebody's buying it or something. So you can't change certain key items except just the inventory and maybe the price and a couple of other things while there's current offers out. So anyway, go ahead and ship out one of these Nintendo Wii consoles. This is just the original Nintendo Wii with the boxes that flap up. So we're gonna get this thing listed. So I just banged it on the ground here. We're good, we're good. Yeah, so this is gonna require a box as well. But I just have so many of these Wiis, and people often do make me offers for all of them all at once. And so for those reasons, I don't pre-pack them in boxes. I just keep them individual, and then I do have to pack them in a box, which in general I don't like to save until packing day. That's why I like to pre-pack as many items as possible. All my big stuff is pre-packed in boxes behind me. All I gotta do is slap a label on it. And it would be nice to have a few boxes pre-packed. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, and just saying it out loud, actually that would be a good idea. Maybe just have a few pre-packs, but again, maybe not, because sometimes people just come in and offer me an amount for all of my Nintendo Wii consoles at once. I think often it's an Amazon reseller that can get an even better price for them. And so that works out great, but I like to pack them all into as small of a box as I can, and packing multiple consoles into a single box. And so I often just have to go and open those boxes back up, slice them open, take those consoles out, and then pack them into a larger box just to be able to save money on shipping. That does waste time, and the whole point is trying to save time. All this is to say, that's why I have to make this box right now and pack this Wii U console, where I could have done this work and saved myself this minute right now. Just definitely something that I try to focus on is, if anytime I can take work away from any time sensitive work and just do it ahead of time, anytime I can do homework for myself, basically, just like that boring stuff, the studying ahead of time, you know, just doing that hard work ahead of time. I package all my difficult items ahead of time. So right now on shipping day, even though this is a little more time sensitive, I kind of have to do it tonight if I want all these orders to go out tomorrow. A lot of the hard stuff's already done, so I try to do that as much as I can. This is more of a balance of time management and saving the most money and keeping the most profit on something like a Wii console, where I do have to pack it on the night of or the day of. It's just taking me an extra minute or two, especially when I'm yapping over here. But I will be getting a lot of money. This was only like $6.03 to ship, and I do charge $9.99 for shipping on this. So I made a good amount of profit on this one, just on the shipping alone, which is great. So I'm not going to get anything from the ground right now because I still have more stuff in this box. So I'm going to get all the pairs of Nintendo Wii remotes and nunchucks and just go ahead and start shipping them out all at once. Basically, I just take a pair, a Wiimote and a nunchuck. I get 2 pieces of bubble wrap, wrap it up. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more pairs to ship out. But some of them are to a single buyer. I think there's a few multi-quantities. So let's type in the next one here. So RVL-003 is the Wii remote. Okay, so I've got 3 going to the same buyer. That's awesome. Thank you very much. So I'll be packing that up here. Wii products and Nintendo products in general typically are just so durable, so fun. This is in my memory. I don't know if this is true. This is just something that I remember from my childhood, but I had the original Game Boy, the one with the very greenish screen and the very thick gray kind of chunky body. The original Game Boy, the DMG-001, I think. And I'm pretty sure I left that Game Boy in the pocket of my pants, and it went through the washing machine. And I'm pretty sure it came out the other side and it was okay after I let it dry out. I don't know if that's true, but I'm pretty sure that it ended up somehow getting pulled out of the washing machine and I still had a Game Boy and it was the same one. So in my mind, these things are just amazing. Ever since my childhood, I've always just had a reverence for the build quality of Nintendo products, because I knew I probably wasn't getting another Game Boy again, at least not for a long time. So I was very happy that it still worked. I played a lot of the Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening on the original Game Boy. It's so fun. Such a fun game. Great music too. So shipping out these 3 Wii remotes. These sold for just under $50 for 3 of them plus shipping. And that goes in my UPS pile. Alright, cool. Just kind of looking everything over. Man, this room, sometimes, I don't know, when you have a brain like mine, I feel like my brain is very directly tied to my surroundings. So if everything's clean and simple, it's easy for me to feel calm. But if the area is cluttered, especially if it's my area and it's stuff that I'm considering my responsibility, it's almost like it's all like speaking to me. Like, you know, clean me, or like organize me or sell me. And so I like to kind of reset each day, get everything cleaned up. And I tell you what, man, I do not want to sell computer monitors ever again. I love selling all this small stuff. I did sell 2 computer monitors, so I got 2 big old boxes behind me. But small stuff, man, that's where it's at if you have a small, limited space. Okay, so I was just yapping and I forgot what this power supply was. And I didn't even finish the Wii remotes yet, so we're getting loopy over here. So I'm going to see if I can see this power supply model number without destroying the packaging too much. Just going to kind of pull it back. Yep, got it. Okay, not too bad. I've seen worse. I'm going to type that in real quick. 186 EB. One way that I kind of save energy when I'm packing a bunch of items like this is I just grab the next thing and I just pack it up. I don't worry too much about sorting things. I just get it in a bin, get it to my shipping station, and then just grab something and just type in whatever you need to type in to pull it up on your page and start shipping it. So I'm shipping this box. This goes in a 10 by 4 by 4 box and just a few sheets of bubble wrap. And this is going UPS, $6.78 for this big old Xbox 360 power supply. So reminder, hydrate. Got my coconut water here. All right, let's do this thing. I am a coconut water aficionado. If you have a favorite brand, put it down in the comments. I definitely do, but I rarely get to drink it. It's so expensive. But I do love coconut water, man. It makes me feel alive. So I'm gonna pack, this is a 2-pack of these sets of a Wii remote and a nunchuck. So 2 pairs going to the same buyer. And Pirate Ship already knows how I'm gonna pack it, so I just gotta click get rates and buy label and go ahead and have those pages loading while I'm throwing these in the poly bag. That's just gonna save a few seconds. Click buy label. Okay, drank a lot of coconut water there. Feeling very heavy in the stomach. Okay. Love when the weight is just under a pound. This one, for example, is 15.6 ounces. It's very satisfying. You get like maximum value for your shipping label. It's fun. All right, so I got one more of these sets. All right, let's do it. Speaking of hydration, I'm also gonna go get a snack, get a little calories in my body, and then come back to it. So, see you in a minute. Bye. Yeah, something that I was thinking about today on my run. This is apropos of nothing. I just came right back. I'm just still shipping that same Wii remote and nunchuck. There's something Mr. Rogers said one time that was so amazing. Mr. Rogers one time, and he was giving advice for children who were experiencing something difficult. He said, when you're experiencing this, when you're experiencing something difficult, look around and there are always helpers. And that has always stuck with me. And now as an adult, I'm trying to be one of those helpers if I can, but you know, it's something that I've used a little bit in parenting. Maybe if we see a car crash or something, there's been a couple of times where I've said, guys, that's tough, but if you look around, there are always helpers. And if there aren't, maybe we should ask ourselves if we should be the helpers, you know. But so often you see a car crash, but you also see maybe someone or multiple people pulled over trying to help. You might see something horrific, but you're also, if you're looking around, you always will see the helpers as well. Hopefully. Not always. I mean, not always, right? Like, this world is not guaranteed to be full of helpfulness, but we got to kind of be the change we wish to see in the world. But you know, I was thinking about that on my run, like, wow, it really that would be a great compliment if anyone ever told me, you're helpful. That actually is a great compliment. You know, I want to be helpful. I want to be useful. I'm just like Thomas the Train, you know, man. I'm just trying to be useful over here. Whew, we're getting tired and loopy. That's what happens. Profit First Reseller after dark. We are going deep. We're going deep over here. Who knows what's going to happen? Shipping Guitar Hero microphone. Shipped for $9.99 plus shipping. Get it out of here. Out of my life. I really... You know, when I'm feeling completely overwhelmed with inventory and like it's just taking over my life, I almost get more of a thrill out of the fact that this stuff is just leaving my house and the fact that I'm also turning it into cash, which typically also gives me a pretty big thrill. So I'm getting like double thrills over here. When you actually don't like your things, like I'm really not a collector for most things. You know, I like to have things. I like to have nice things if I'm using them. But then when I'm done, I just sell or donate them. Like I just want to get them out of my life and let somebody else enjoy them. I'm not a collector. I'm not trying to hold on to stuff over here. I'll keep the game consoles that I'm using and I'll sell the rest. And it goes for the handheld ones too. So I have a little Miu Mini Plus and a little, you know, not so little Nintendo Switch, I guess. But they're both totally awesome. If anyone else has played Pico 8 on a handheld console, I'm always looking for new games to play on the Pico 8. It's such a fun concept. Pico 8 is a fantasy game console. Like it's never existed. Like, basically, some person came up with specs for a console that could have existed and would have, if it did exist, here's what the controls would be like, and here's what the pixel count would be. And now people have created games for this fantasy console that has never actually existed. You have to use an emulator, so I use one of these little pocket emulator devices, like a Miu Mini Plus. And this is probably going over a lot of people's heads, but basically I'm playing games on an emulator for a fantasy console that recently came out but has never actually existed in real life. And yet people still make games for it that you can download. And there's hundreds of them, there's thousands of them. It's really astounding. It's so fun, such a fun gaming console. And it's got a very old school look, almost Atari, reminiscent of Atari and how pixelated it is, but it's all created by modern game developers and they're making little pocket versions of, you know, modern games or just brand new creations. It's awesome. Definitely recommend Pico. It's Pico and then the number 8, Pico 8. Just a fun concept. The concept of a fantasy console. It's a console that never existed. You can still play it. It's so cool. This was an Xbox 360 controller. This is the one, there's the black on black color scheme. Sell these things typically for $19.99 and plus shipping, and we love that. Here, shipping again is cheap for us, you know, under $5 for the label. Often we're charging $6.99, but again, we are charging for our time, for the packing materials, and for, you know, it's shipping and handling. You're getting an expert experience. We're gonna make sure that you receive this controller in perfect condition, just like you saw in the photos. So this is another one, tested and working. We include the batteries and everything, the battery back. And we sell these for $19.99 plus shipping. So this one going out quick. See, at this rate, it's still gonna take a long time doing the math in here. But 115 items. Holy cannoli. What are we doing over here? It was 111 for quite a while. I thought I was going to make a video about only having 111 items to pack. But, you know, items always continue to sell. Even if you pack for a long time, you got a lot of items to pack, you're going to sell more items while you're packing. You know how that is. That's a great problem to have. But it can feel somewhat demoralizing if your systems aren't set up. But mine are so good. My metrics are great. I'm also very close to the post office, so if I didn't have the energy to be working late into the night here, I would just pack my items tomorrow morning and then just go drop off those packages by hand at the post office. No big deal. But I'd rather be listing items tomorrow. That's going to help us make more money. So that's what I want to try to focus on here. So this is another Xbox 360 power supply. Going into a box. Sold for $10.99 plus shipping. And we'll make well over $1, just under $2 profit as well on the shipping cost here. This is another one of the items. So all those Wii remotes and nunchucks, all these Xbox 360 power supplies, like a good deal of our store now is all just stuff my wife has done just in her spare time, often at night, sometimes during the day as well. I love seeing that. If she wants to help, like it really does. Like it's literally making hundreds of dollars for our business because these are listings that already exist on our store, but sometimes sell out if we don't have time to process them, and I'm busy trying to do other stuff in the business. So she's able to keep these listings alive, so to speak, with more and more inventory and just make us hundreds of dollars per month. So this is another Xbox 360 power supply, sold for $10.99 plus shipping. It gets a label, going UPS. So we're almost done with this milk crate. We have 3 boxes to get through like this, and then just the big boxes, but 3 boxes of small stuff. I call them smalls. Okay, so this is a bit of a close call. This has that nice sticker on the back that does kind of show, I think the customer might even be a newer condition than the picture. There isn't one in the picture, but it's a little bit grimy underneath where it's partially peeled up here. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and peel this off. Get a nice peel over here. And that's just gonna end up buffing out. I also see a little mark that I need to get with a magic eraser, I think. So I'm gonna grab one of those just quickly. Don't even think in this case that I will need rubbing alcohol. Yeah, no, just a quick buffing over here. Under the handles I didn't see a little bit of a black, like almost like a black rubber scuff, like almost like you'd see from a sneaker on the bottoms there. And other than that, in excellent condition. Just a white Xbox 360 controller, white and gray, because it does have that gray accent on the bottom. There's also kind of a silvery one. This one sold for $14.99 plus shipping. And this is to the point where, you know, I'm partway into it. It reminds me of going on a long run or something. For me, the hardest part of a long run is like just before you hit 50% of the way through. And I'm not even close to halfway through packing these orders yet. But when you're just getting close to 50% of the way through, and you start having these feelings like, man, I'm this far into my run, and I'm not even halfway through, and I'm this tired. Like, holy crap, this is gonna be a hard run. But I have that thought every time. So once you've had a thought so many times, it stops being as scary. And I'm like, yeah, no, this is just how I always feel when I'm 49% of the way through my run. And then I start noticing, once I get over that halfway hump, and I start knocking down those miles, and suddenly it's like, well, how many miles do I have left? And it's almost like it starts ticking down instead of ticking up for some reason. Suddenly it starts feeling like I'm making more progress. And it starts to feel easier. And I notice that that's usually the hardest part, is like just before halfway done, you're like, man, I'm not even halfway done and I feel this tired. Like now I know that in business too, or in work, if I have a long work day, or if I have a long, it's, you know, if you're an eBay reseller, you don't really have work days, you have tasks. Like you just got to get the stuff done. That's kind of how I see it. Like I just got to get this done. So I know how long my run is, so to speak. In this case, I know how many items I have to pack in order for my buyers to have a good experience. Not just that, in order for me to have a good experience tomorrow, not having all this time-sensitive work to worry about. Tomorrow, then, I can worry about, you know, processing, sourcing, even more fun stuff, right? So it's a win-win. It's going to be more profitable at the end of the day if I can get all this stuff packed out. But this is all, I think, a long-winded way of saying I'm not going to check how many orders I have left right now. Right now, you know, I've got my screen split into 2 different web pages, and one of them is my eBay orders screen, but I haven't refreshed it since we started, so it's still at 115. And I don't want to refresh it until I feel like I'm over halfway done. So I'm going to try to work on that here. And I think it's going to help getting through a lot of this small stuff that I'm just kind of taking away. Like often you can pack these up so quick. Just have to type in quickly a few characters of the model number. This is one of the more obscure Xbox 360 power supplies, the EADP 150LB. Yeah, this is one you don't see very often. That is for sure. But really, there's only 3 Xbox 360 power supplies, like 3 different wattages. And that's really all that matters as a buyer. But a lot of people want to get the exact power supply that came with their console, so I always just try to list these with the exact power, you know, model number, even though it doesn't really matter that much. But if it matters, it does matter. I mean, it does matter to some people, right? Like they want to have often, or an exact replica or an exact replacement. That's one of my favorite things about selling electronics is all the model numbers. Like it's so much easier often than fashion, where, I don't know, for me it just seems like if I just understand it better. Maybe that's the only reason. It's not about anything else, but you know, you can often just say a lot by just the model number for an item. Like that really narrows it down. And clothing doesn't always have model numbers. It doesn't always work the same way. Clothing is a little more about description. There's like a little bit more of an art to it in that way. So now we're down to the last few things here in the bin. I'm just going to take them out. We got 2 Wii Motion Plus little adapters for Wii. One of these PlayStation 4 camera little squiggly doodads that holds it up on your TV. We got the black variant of the Nintendo Wii sensor and a Nintendo DS little charger here. So just a bunch more small stuff. This is great. I'm going to type in the model number of this charger. And whenever I type it in, I also take that opportunity to go ahead and double check that the model number is correct. Oh, I'm gonna turn on a fan down here, get some airflow. Whew. All this hot air I'm blowing over here, just talking to myself in my room, making money. I'm big into projects anyway. They're really, being an entrepreneur, I guess, kind of suits my lifestyle in that way, that I'd love to work on a project all day. That's like my favorite thing in the world. So yeah, like, and that's how, you know, you can't just clock in and clock out. Like you just have to get your work done. You know, that really is the most important thing in reselling and being an eBay reseller, is just doing the right things and making sure that you're getting your work done. You can't just clock in and then look busy in your room and come out and go tell your spouse, well, you can do this, but I would warn you not to. So like, yeah, I got a full workday in, and really you're just clicking around trying to design a logo on Canva or something. And the problem with that is it'll look good for a while, but eventually the numbers will not reflect, you know, what your hopes and dreams are, because you're not getting your work done. And I often hear people say, how do you get your spouse on board or be supportive of your eBay business? And I think my answer to that would be, you shouldn't have to. Like the numbers should speak for themselves. Like they should be getting on board and maybe even considering stopping the other income streams that they were working on otherwise, because they're like, oh my gosh, you're making this much money doing this. Like you just got to focus on getting really good until you're undeniable, until like you don't have to make the argument. You can just say like, let's just look at the numbers. And they might start changing their mind. But all you need to do to convince your spouse is just to be undeniable. You don't have to spend any time trying to convince them then, because you've just been spending your time on your eBay business. And what is the work of eBay business? It's listing. It's listing items. That's what it is. Like, how many items have you listed today? Like, are you as successful as you want to be? How many items have you listed today? How many items have you listed this week? How many items have you listed this month? Like, my store sell-through rate is pretty crazy. Like, I sell through my entire store, like, I don't know, like every 90 days or something. Like, it's great. Like, I have like at least 100% sell-through rate, maybe even better than that. Like, usually my solds are even higher than my actives on the eBay store. This is what I'm trying to say. Okay, I'm over here blabbing. I don't know if these actually sold to different people. I packed them all together. That is hilarious. I think they're actually going to separate people. So what I'm going to do is just take out one of them out of this bubble wrap if I can. No, I wrapped it too well. I'm going to have to unpack it here. So I did something fun for this video. I copied a few of the cool questions or better questions and comments. Just a few of them. I've gotten so many from previous videos, and I kind of wanted to talk about them further and expound upon them. So I'm going to pull up my list of topics over here. Alright, so Eating Food is Fun is the username, asked, what is your promoted listing strategy? So thank you for the question. And my promoted listing strategy is 5%. 5% across the board for all my items. And I do that partly to save time. Some of these items would probably sell without the promoted listings, and a lot of them do. I think between 50 and 60% of my items typically sell with promoted listings, and so 40 to 50% of my items sell without having to pay that. And even though technically my eBay policy for promoted listings is set to all items again, and it's set to market rate but just capped at 5%, somehow magically it's always 5%. It's always the maximum. That's fine. That's what I calculated for it to be in my head anyway. I cannot remember the last time I was looking at my fees and I noticed a promoted listings fee any less than 5% when I do get a sale through the promoted listings program. But I think that it's not just about whether or not the item would sell for me. For me, I really prioritize sell-through rate as well. And so just doing the math, when you do promoted listings, you are increasing the number of impressions, the number of potential buyers that are going to be looking at your product. And there's just a better chance, I found, that your items are going to sell through quicker. And that is something that I really prioritize. So this is the Wii sensor bar. I committed the mortal mistake of packing it up in the poly bag before I looked it up on Pirate Ship, but I remember. I got this. I remember what I packed up in there. That's a black Wii sensor bar. So my promoted listing strategy, yeah, 5%. So over half my items, typically a little over half of my items, I pay an extra 5% fee to eBay. And from what I understand, that allows eBay to take some money ahead of time and buy ads on things like Google and Facebook and show your item to potential buyers outside of the eBay platform. And so you're getting potential buyers that aren't just going to ebay.com and typing it in or pulling up the eBay app, but might just be typing in the model number of an electronic that I sell on Google or something like that, or on Facebook Marketplace now, as they mentioned. And I think that they probably pay for a lot of that through the promoted listings program, because advertising costs money, but you're basically paying eBay to have to worry about all that advertising, the way that I see it. So I don't want to have to worry about advertising. So this is a PS4 camera sensor stand replacement. Yeah, these sell for a surprisingly large amount of money. This sells for $18.99 plus shipping. Just this little thing. It's not even really electronic. It's just a physical, really well-made little holder for the VR camera for PS4. So I'm gonna wrap this one up pretty good, especially towards the tip there. Try to get it kind of folded over to double up. And that goes into my small poly bag. Again, Pirate Ship already knew what I was going to pack it in, so I just got to hit get rates. Saves me a bunch of time. Speaking of saving time, I did mention some of these items probably would sell, and probably would even sell pretty quick without promoted listings. But I just don't have time to be going in there and selecting that stuff. And especially in my workflow, I list stuff directly from my phone, and you really can't do it very easily from your phone. So I've just decided to go ahead and enable promoted listings on all my items, and understanding that, you know, often I am paying an extra 5% when I might not have needed to. In that case, it is selling quicker because, I mean, just practically, if there was a buyer that was going to buy it on eBay before, they would have bought it on eBay before, and they didn't. The buyer that came along through the promoted listings program. So they did find the next available buyer. That was the fastest path to a sale. If you do want to increase your sell-through rate, it's kind of important to think about that. And I love processing inventory. I like making big purchases. And so in order to do that, I got to sell my stuff quick. So I do prioritize sell-through rate. It's important, both in my buying decisions, but then also how I price the stuff, how I accept offers. I'm trying to get it out of here. I'm an aspiring, a failing minimalist. So this is another. Okay, so we have a lot of 2 of these Xbox 360. You know, they're tested and working. I include batteries. They're all ready to go. They're ready to play. So I just got to wrap these up in poly bags. This is fun to imagine, especially when I sell my bundles of tested and working stuff. I really do imagine that that's the kind of stuff that's going to a buyer that's actually going to use it and appreciate it. That's fun for me. One of my favorite parts of having a food cart, especially, you know, early on our food carts, and actually our entire time that we had food carts, it was just a single person working in them. It would just be a single person running the kitchen, which means it's a single person that you got to take your gloves off, or maybe put a new set of gloves on and go handle the register and handle someone's payment, and come back in the kitchen, wash up, go make the food often, or at least serve up the food. But the best part was peeking my head out of the food cart after everyone had been served, and because there were often benches or tables nearby the food carts, and just seeing, kind of like watching them eat your food or eat those first bite or two, and then I'd poke my head back in before they noticed me. And just seeing that look on their face was so cool, and like being able to have a business that was so tangible was very helpful for me. So I think often it's easier. I know it is from personal experience now. In a business like this on eBay, I can't see the look on someone's face when they're so grateful or they're so happy. I do spend a lot of time in my feedback section. That is a way, especially if it's mostly positive, as it should be. Like there's a lot of people that have gone out of their way to tell you that they appreciate your business, and so that's a cool thing to remind yourself of. Actually reminds me a lot of this book that I'm reading called Some Days Today. And this guy in this book was talking about how in our brains, like we're kind of hardwired to focus more on the negative than the positive. And we all know, you know, you're gonna notice a negative comment or a negative thing that someone said to you 10 times more. I think he actually had some statistic, it was like 16 times more. Like you need to hear, you know, a negative thing that someone says to you sticks in your head like 16 times more. And so what he does to counteract this is he just keeps a list in a notebook of all the nice compliments anyone's ever given him, which I thought was just so sweet. And then he just reminds himself of that. And even when he's talking to himself, giving himself criticism, he kind of can use a lot of this ammunition in a friendly way that he's like put in this notebook of all the nice things. You know, he's a teacher, so someone's parent told him one time like, oh, my kid has improved so much in this way and you just really helped us. And he writes that stuff down because it's so easy to forget all the nice things, and it's so easy to remember all those negative things. And so like having a list of just like positive affirmations, but it doesn't even have to be your own words. It can be from other people. actually, I think kind of counterbalance the way that our brains are hardwired. So I've got one more Wii Motion Plus adapter here. But it's cool that we have the feedback, and that eBay really encourages feedback from customers just to have had a regular, normal, positive experience, and to get so many of them to leave feedback, it's pretty cool. It's nice to be able to have that. That's a little hint of what I experienced, I guess, at the food cart, of actually being able to see the customer. But now I just try to imagine happy families, especially with something like Wii stuff, or even just a happy gamer. I just would love to imagine a happy gamer and them opening it up and just saying, wow, I can't wait to sit down and play after work today. And so I hope a lot of this stuff is getting used. I do sell some things to collectors, but it seems like for the most part, especially since I'm selling a lot of tested and working stuff, that it's going to people who actually want to use this stuff. So that's pretty cool. And there's always that environmental aspect I always think about. Just encouraging people to use items in the world that have already been created. Like, there's no need to melt any more plastic to make this Wii stuff. Like, it's already been made almost 20 years ago now. It's kind of cool to be able to give it a second life to somebody who's actually going to get some use out of it. So that's one milk crate down. That's one person giving themselves a pep talk to keep it going, saying, yeah, people must be enjoying this, right? Because I'm staying up super late to back all this up. Whoo, baby. All right, we got another big old heavy box of stuff, but we are going to get it done quickly. It's kind of hanging off the edge, so I'm going to start to pull items from that far edge first, just so it doesn't all fall off if I do the opposite. This is another Xbox power supply. These things just come and go from our store. It's so great. We get them listed and they end up selling almost always within about 1 to 3 weeks. Like, there's never one big buyer that comes in and swoops them up, but just individual Xbox users, especially ones looking for these random, because there are just so many different model numbers. We probably have 20 different listings on our store to kind of cover all the different model numbers of Xbox 360 power supplies. It really is absurd. Oh, this one's going international. That's fun. I'd love to see that. I'm glad this guy's getting a box, because you never know what this package is going to go through on its way. But I wish it the best. This in there. I like to always make sure that I'm taping the box with the flaps folded down in the same direction on the top and bottom. And that way I can kind of get the tape to overlap on itself a little bit on the side of the box. And it's just a little more secure. Alright, that box is done. Again, Pirate Ship already knows everything about it. Pirate Ship knows about me. He knows what I'm doing here. So the label's ready for me, which saves me a few seconds, a little bit of time. Keeps me moving over here. You gotta pick up the pace. I gotta start moving a little faster if we want to get done tonight. So I'm not gonna be able to keep up this energy all night, but maybe I can. Maybe not. Maybe I can. Actually, I am actually sharing teaching duties with another mom at our kids' homeschool co-op. And so I don't have to teach this week, which is tomorrow, Monday. So I'm just gonna stay home and work tomorrow instead of going to school with the kids. Even though I treasure it so much, I do think my wife and I had a talk today. I can still go and volunteer and help at the co-op. I just don't have to teach a class tomorrow. We alternate weeks, and tomorrow is my week off, or this week's my week off. But I'm gonna just work on my eBay store tomorrow. So who knows? There may be more videos coming out about tomorrow as well. We'll see. It's been fun making content. I just love the interactions. And speaking of interactions, that was my promoted listing strategy. So thank you, Eating Food is Fun, for the comment. Quiet Chaos Core, thank you, sir. Said, great videos. When you list, do you do a certain amount a day, or do you just list any amount, or everything in one shot? Thanks, brother. Be safe. So basically my listing strategy is to list as many items as I can on the days that are my listing days. And so I guess it would be helpful if you know the whole context here. So I try to have a big listing day at least every 3 days. That's kind of my indicator in my head if I'm on track. And sometimes I'll do a couple good days in a row, and that might buy me a little extra time as well. But I find that, I'm trying to sell $1,000 a day on my eBay store, which means I need to be listing at least $1,000 per day to my store. But when we talk on eBay, we talk about 7 days a week. Like, those numbers count 7 days a week. I'm not actually trying to work 7 days a week anyway. Like, I'm going to try to take at least a day or two off a week. And I also can't spend every day listing. I also have to have big packing days and big days where I process and test and clean all this stuff, get it onto my store. So I need to be able to list on a big listing day at least $2,000 or $3,000 worth of stuff. So Quiet Chaos Core, my listing strategy is every 2 to 3 days, I try to have a dedicated listing day where I wake up, I eat breakfast, and then I just start listing items to my store. And I try not to stop until I've hit at least 2K in value, at least. And that buys me at least another day. And then if I can even go beyond that, if I can do $3,000 worth of listed value to my store, in my mind, that kind of buys me another 2 days where I can kind of focus on other stuff, get more stuff ready, and keep my store full of good items so that it keeps selling $1,000 a day. So that's my focus. It's just kind of keeping that ball rolling. It's a cool question though. So yeah, I don't do the same thing every day. I don't just like list, I sell about 30 items a day, 30 to 35 items per day for about $30 to $35 average sales price. But I don't list that regularly. And my sales are not that regular either, right? Because my listing comes in spurts onto my store. I have big high sales days and I have lower sales days. And that's fine. I expect that. It's kind of actually cool to feel like I actually have so much power over my daily sales. Where when you practice listing and when you can list, 100 quality items to your store, you start to feel like, well, that's all it takes. All I have to do is spend 2 days just listing my face off and just filling my store with awesome inventory. And then I can have all these massive sales days where I have to spend all day, it feels like, packing all these orders. Yeah, that's all it takes. All you have to do is just list a bunch of items. That is the main job. I really think that's our main job on eBay, is listing items. So I love talking about listing and producing these videos where I'm just kind of opening these surprise boxes of inventory and just listing everything I see out of them. I really do think that's such a good skill, and I just see so many people trying to offload it to VAs and other people. And like listing quality items is your store. Like your store is your items. And so of all the things, I think shipping is one of the things you should probably, if you were going to delegate, that I would try to delegate first, but not listing. Listing is so important, to me at least, in my strategy. Trying not to be judgy over here. There's a whole segment, I think, from the last video that I accidentally deleted after I came back from, I think, like saying hi to my kids when they came in. So I like quickly paused the video and then unpaused it. And I think that I accidentally deleted a small segment where I was talking about how nice it is to have my wife, who also came home with my kids. Like, she was the one taking care of them all day, of course. She came home and we were just talking and catching up, and I was talking about what I was saying on the video, and what I was talking about was long-term versus short-term thinking. That was in my video yesterday. This needs to go in my UPS pile to my left. So I kept talking about how much better long-term thinking is, and it has been good for me, but I really should avoid saying that it's better. And that's where my wife came in. Because my first example of long-term versus short-term thinking was using recycled or used boxes in your store, or like, and really what I was trying, I think, to say was that you shouldn't spend too much time trying to find used boxes, because you can just use that time to list. But my wife, very rightly, this is where it's so good to have someone to bounce ideas off of. Wow, I'm so lucky to have her. She was like, you did that. She's like, you found those boxes. We spent years using used boxes. And I'm like, yeah, but also I've changed, I guess, in these ways. And she's like, yeah, but both of those strategies are legitimate. Like, at those times and at certain times, we needed those few extra dollars, and we needed to be able to use used or free boxes that you might find piled up on the street or something. And so it was worth our time to do that, because we weren't able to just guaranteed make money on eBay. Like, we hadn't built our skills to that point yet. Like, I've done all kinds of stuff to try to save and make money on this eBay journey, including delivering DoorDash and Uber Eats and all that stuff. And so it was just important for my wife to remind me that long-term and short-term thinking are actually both very valid strategies. And it's just about where you are. At this point, I'm trying to focus on a lot more long-term strategies, but I think that that's natural. As you grow older, you do start to get more focused on that stuff. And as you continue to execute on a business plan that works, you have a little bit more money to work with in the business, and that does change the way that you behave in certain ways, and which allows me to focus a little bit more on efficiency by spending money. But if you don't have the money, you can't be spending the money. Like, I talk about business credit cards, but I'm not talking about credit cards in the sense of going into debt. Like, I'm very against that. Like, we pay them off every month. We only do credit cards for points, just to earn points on all these like shipping labels. Otherwise, we would just avoid them. Like, if it wasn't such a better reward system than what you can get from a debit card, you just happen to be able to get great benefits if you just spend your money on the credit card and then immediately pay it off, or pay it off each month, or however it works. We just have it all set up on auto pay. We're just trying to play the long game with our money. But a lot of the short-term plays, doing Uber Eats to make some extra cash on the side to support your eBay business so you can buy more inventory. If that's where you're at, yeah, that makes sense. Like, make that money. Like, do what you need to do. I've done all of it. I did all that stuff, right? I've done all the gig work. And that was after we owned a restaurant and food carts. I was delivering DoorDash and Uber Eats, getting them as well as doing eBay, but I didn't always have a plan of where to source effectively, and so I didn't know what to do with my time all the time. So sometimes I would just log in to Uber Eats or DoorDash, and I'm like, at least I can make a few dollars per hour doing this. And it was helpful. It was helpful at the time. All that stuff was helpful. If you're smart with your money, all that money is so helpful. So basically what I'm trying to say is I need to stop being so judgmental, acting like whatever I'm doing is better than any other strategy. Like, just because I'm employing some strategy that only works for me. And I should have gotten that cue, because what's so funny is the only other quote unquote like person that I talked to about this previously, like, I talked to my wife after I was like halfway done recording the video, but I did type into ChatGPT. I was like, give me some examples of long-term versus short-term thinking in eBay businesses. And what's funny is ChatGPT just spit out a nice ordered list of 5 things that are effective strategies of short-term thinking in your eBay business. And then it put out 5 things that are effective strategies in long-term thinking in your eBay business. And there was no mention of one being better than the other. Like, I was going into it just assuming, and I remember having the thought of like, that's weird. I thought it would be so obvious that like long-term thinking is crushing, but like, no, sometimes it's good to buy seasonal items or to like do a dramatic sale on your entire store in order to move some stuff today. Like, sometimes that is the right move because strategically you need the money right now for whatever reason. Like, that's just so often the case. Like, we've spent so much of our life being there. Like, thankfully, we are able to change some of those to more long-term strategies, and just because we have a little bit of money in reserve, it's not because we just haven't spent it for years and years. Like, we've just continued to eat rice and vegetables from the grocery store, from the same store that we did back when we were just getting started. So I think avoiding lifestyle creep is pretty key. You can't just spend the money that you make if you make any more money. The key is just to not change your life at all when the money increases. All right, we're gonna get some more controllers done here. And this second bin actually feels a lot smaller than the first one. I feel like we can get through this one pretty quick. So let's do that. See how quickly we can get through these items. I'm feeling spicy right now. Feeling like, where are we at? Okay, this controller sold for $19.99 plus shipping. I've been yapping. I've not been listening as fast as I could, but I am awake and I am alive, and so I'm capable of shipping items. I can always ship when I'm tired. Always, always. I mean, at a certain point, it's not fun, and I just stop. But even if I'm feeling kind of loopy, I'll just put on a fun movie or a comedy, a special or something. Just laugh and still pack items in the background. It really is. It's so easy. I got this nice big computer screen, so I can have two little screens up at once. So often that's just a movie or a video, and my pirate ship screen. I'll just have them both up at once. Right now I'm rewatching one of my favorite TV series ever called The Thick of It. It's so funny. It's like dry British humor about two different warring political sides in England. It's so fun. It's so fun. Keeps me entertained late into the night. I'm just laughing over here. But this is fun. I'm glad I turned the camera on this time and just decided to share the journey a little bit. Like a long night of packing here. This is typically what I'd be doing, except I'd have just a movie on and I'd just be talking to myself, or just like pausing the movie every few minutes just so I could have my own thoughts and just like think about whatever I'm thinking. All right, this one's gonna need a little bit of cleaning. The trusty microfiber cloth here and some rubbing alcohol. Okay, yeah, just cleaned right up. I'm gonna clean all sides and the cables here real quick. And get this thing wrapped up. This is just a standard Wii power supply. We sell these for $5.99 plus shipping all day. And sometimes in bulk to larger buyers, which is kind of fun. And this is just going to a single individual buyer. It's one that just needs a power supply for their Wii. Hopefully somebody that's gonna, it's just, Wii especially seems like such a community-oriented game. Like so many games that are meant to be played by more than one player. I just hope there's gonna be a whole party and they're all just like anxiously awaiting, or a whole family or something, a whole group of people at a house just like anxiously awaiting their Wii power supplies so they can play Wii Sports and have a tournament or something. Or somebody just like really into, which Zelda was on Wii? I'm like having a weird blank out moment. Skyward Sword? Was it? Or was that the one on Wii U? I'm having a brain fart. I think it was Skyward Sword. Yeah, because you could hold the sword. Yeah. Alright, this is a Wii power supply. Took an offer on this one for $3.50, but we're trying to get these out of here. And so we did. I got it out of here for $3.50. Got it sold. And that's something I can do all day. Make a bunch of money. Those are easy to find. Wii power supplies. We got one more Wii power supply here. This one does need a little bit of a cleaning as well. Get some rubbing alcohol. Just trying to remove any surface dust or grime here. These Wii power supplies are so well made, and they're just kind of like sealed all the way around. They're really great build quality. I always appreciate Nintendo build quality. Just never say enough about it. So Quiet Chaos Core, thank you, brother. Thank you for your question. That's my strategy for listing items. I've just tried to build up my capacity to be able to list at least 3 days worth of items. I'm trying to sell 30 to 35 items a day. So that really does average out really quite neatly to about 100 items. So on a dedicated listing day where I'm going to wake up, I'm going to eat my breakfast, and then I'm just going to basically clock in and just start listing. I aim for around 100 items and about $3,000 of value, which does add up when you think about it, because my average sales price is $30 to $35. So let's just right there in that wheelhouse. Just try to kind of hit those metrics. Those are my metrics for myself on my listing days, and I try to hit those every about 3 days on average. in an average week, I'll have 2 or 3 big listing days depending on the week. It's kind of how that works out. And those days are, I think, what separates our store from a lot of other stores. It's just my ability to buckle down and just list item after item after item. It really is. It's an amazing skill. Somebody's got to do it, and you can hire people to do it, but it's just not going to be the same. You're not going to be creating the same quality of listings. You're not going to be getting the same keywords in there. And if you are, and if you're spending all this time editing and proofreading these listings that someone else has made for you, that's the same amount of time as you could have just made the listing on your own. Like, why, I don't even know why you're hiring someone to do that at that point. Like, if you're hiring someone to make listings for you for your eBay store, but you're still taking the time to proofread all the listings and then having to type in all the, I don't know. I don't see the time savings being worth it, especially because you're getting what I would expect to be lower quality listings out of it as well. I mean, not even to mention, the fact that it's also potentially a bad deal. So, I've got 2 of these little hard drives here, little 1 terabyte hard drives. These are little laptop 2.5 inch 1 terabyte drives. So, I'm gonna give these plenty of bubble wrap, but they still do end up fitting in my small poly bag here. Just barely, and I just stuff it with bubble wrap. These hard drives do have some moving parts, and they're not moving while they're powered off, but they're still delicate, especially the, that platter and the needle. So I'm gonna finish up these 2 1 terabyte hard drives, and then take a quick break, and then we'll see where we're at. I think I might even check and see how many items we have left here. All right. I got a sip of coconut water here. This is actually what I needed all along. I was really just wanting to have some coconut water and not have to do it on camera. But since I did that, now I'm feeling so much better. I might not even take a break. We'll see. No, I think I'm going to take a break, make some hot tea, and then get back to it. It's a nice nighttime thing to have, I think. All right, see you in a second. Herbal tea acquired. We will continue. I did just accidentally kind of check on my eBay app while I was downstairs, and I have 70 more items to ship tonight here. So it's only 10:36, which means I can definitely get this done before midnight, get on my pickup schedule without any issue. So that's what we're gonna do, but not gonna do it by yapping over here. Gotta ship some items. So I got this lovely Wii console, and actually 3 of them. And what I'm gonna do, just so that I can batch it up, is I'm gonna go ahead and pre-print the labels for all 3, but I'm gonna individually click get rates, because sometimes they're cheaper on UPS and sometimes they're cheaper on USPS, and Pirate Ship will only give you the cheapest rate with a single carrier unless you do it individually for whatever reason. So that's what I'm gonna do. So that first one went UPS. Let's see where this one goes. Let's see if my theory worked. Okay, this one's also going UPS. So it likely would have chosen UPS, but the cost difference was only a few cents. So let's see where this third one is going. This one is going, and then I'm just gonna pack all 3 in bubble wrap, and then I'll make 3 boxes real quick. Okay, also UPS, but it was only 4 cents cheaper. So sometimes it is cheaper to go USPS, you just never know. Okay, and now I have those 3 labels. Now I just need to make 3 boxes. Put those labels on. So we got 70 items, and my kind of goal to myself is to be able to get this done in an hour from here, which means I gotta be averaging under a minute per item, under a minute. In order to get 70 items done in 60 minutes. So that is my challenge to myself here. I think it's around 70 items at least. I may have sold 1 or 2 items while we've been here talking, but I'll probably just ship and pack just those 115 items. So however many that is. I feel like we're gaining momentum here. Gaining some speed. Just like Cake in that song talked about. We'll be going the distance tonight. Alright, 1, 2, 3 boxes. I love being able to batch these little tasks like this. Selling 3 of the same item with 3 different customers just means I get to batch these tasks, which saves me time. So I'm going to make 3 boxes. I'll place 3 items in them. And we'll be rocking and rolling. Oh my gosh. I mentioned that I teach at this homeschool co-op. Something so sweet happened the other day. I can't stop thinking about it. I was reading this book and the kids were just loving it. It took us 20 minutes to read a single picture book because I was just having so much fun asking the kids questions. Like the little female T-Rex character had a rehearsal. And I was like, you kids know what rehearsals is? And a lot of the kids were answering like, yeah, we've done rehearsals for my dance recital or rehearsals for so-and-so. And at one point, the character got nervous. And so I asked the class of, 4 to 7-year-olds. It's around that range of kids. I asked the class, has anyone in here ever been nervous before? And almost everyone raised their hand. And I said, well, what has made you nervous in the past? I was curious. And so many kids gave such honest answers as they do. And the kids said, I was nervous before my presentation, or I was nervous before I had to play piano before a bunch of people. One kid said, I'm nervous because my uncle has a dog, and even though I like my uncle, I'm afraid of dogs. So when we have to go to my uncle's house, I get nervous. I thought that was sweet. And then one kid who does definitely struggle with, you'd just be what you would call a shy kid. But he'd prefer when his mom was around in class. And his mom was there that day. He was sitting in her lap, but he got up from his mom's lap to come talk to the group so that he could be heard better, I think. And he stood up and he said, I'm nervous all the time. And then he sat back down. And I thought that was just so sweet and so real. Kids are so honest. And I just said, that's okay, buddy. That's normal. That's called anxiety. Like that's very normal. But I just felt for him. I felt for that guy, for that kid, and felt for a lot of people that struggle with anxiety, and just recognize that you're not alone. But not all of us feel as honest as a kid can be to share that in front of a bunch of people. And I feel nervous all the time. Like, oh, wow. I'm sorry, little guy, but a lot of us do. I get that. I think that is anxiety to some degree. Sometimes there's a lot of things to be nervous about. I get it. Being around kids is so refreshing. I need that kind of reset. Kids are so honest. There are those moments, if you're there for it, it's in the middle of chaos. It never happens when there's music playing like it does in the movies about parenting. It happens while there's poop on the walls, or at least poop in the toilet, but not toilet paper. And so you're going around the house saying, who pooped but didn't wipe? But then something really beautiful or hilarious happens, and you have to be able to, as a parent, you have to be able to stop thinking about the poopy butt roaming in your house somewhere, and you gotta appreciate the funny moment that's also happening in front of you. And I'm not always the best at that, but that is when a lot of the best moments happen. They're just in the middle of the chaos, because there's a lot of chaos with kids. And the same with this class. This is a classroom of personalities, and it's really incredible. But there's a lot going on, and you gotta just be there for it and be able to just kind of smile and let the noise calm down and let the kids speak. And I think it's really quite beautiful. Oh, this one was a black one. Okay, that's why. So this is supposed to be a Wii stand, but a black one. And so this is not a black one yet. So I'm going to see if I have any other sold ones for Wii stand. Okay, so I'm going to have to do that another time because that's for the black one. I just made a new listing for black Nintendo Wii stands. There's one certain model of these Wii stands that holds your Wii vertical and makes it less likely to tip, I guess. But it's just got some black accents on the inside here. But I didn't actually pick one, so that's only $2.99 of value, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. But this is a pre-packed one. I will make a little note of what this is. This is the Wii Clear. So I just basically packed up this order for someone that doesn't need it yet, but it will sell soon. So I'm just going to throw it over here in the corner. Okay, cool. See if I got any other. I do have 2 other Wii stands picked, but I think these are the gray ones here that have got in front of me. Oh, actually, one of them was supposed to be black as well. That's great. That's great. So both of those listings have sold one item for my Wii, for the black accented Wii stand. So just another SKU to my store that in my mind is starting to accumulate sold items, and then I start to get that multiple items sold, a description in your item on eBay. And I think that helps an item kind of snowball and gain momentum. So let's see if this tea is ready to drink yet. Got some rooibos tea, caffeine free, of course. Oh, nope, way too hot to drink, entirely too hot. Okay. Well, that's something to look forward to, but not right now. All right, we got a lot more Xbox controllers in here that I've sold. Again, these sold for about $19.99 plus shipping, but oh my gosh. I just threw this thing. Woo, we're getting loopy. All right, we're supposed to be at 1 item per minute, or faster than 1 item per minute. I don't know if I'm doing that, so I'm gonna have to try to focus on just, in fact, I wanna be able to flail my arms. I think I'm actually gonna move that bin down a little bit. I'm just gonna start packing these quick. So this is one more black 360 controller. I just sold a bunch of these over the weekend, probably a dozen of them. That's really cool. This is a ton of money and just an easy replenishable item. These are just so easy to test. You just pop some fresh batteries in there, put the new battery back, and just test the controls. It really is not too bad. I'm sure I'll make some videos at some point on my protocols for testing controllers and stuff like that. Okay, black, another 360 controller. See, I bet I'm getting this one done in close to 30 or 40 seconds. And that really is the pace that I need to keep up. I'm gonna try to get 70 items done in 60 minutes. I know it's kind of far-fetched, but hopefully it could get faster with these large ones. But now I feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, because earlier I was saying those large ones were kind of hard to do, which is why I wanted to save them for last. But now it's not really making sense. We'll see. We'll get to it when we get to it. I'm gonna grab 4 more of these and just start typing in the model number that I need to for these black on black Xbox 360 controllers. And now we're cooking. Now we are cooking. So might as well bring up some more of the comments that I've gotten on these videos I wanted to kind of address in greater detail. Like, for example, Gecko Guy said, do you have any advice on how you spend your profits for inventory and personal expenses? Pay your bills? My issue has always been life gets in the way and low margins, so I need to use those profits for other things. Any advice on how to get higher margin items? Thanks. Hope everyone is doing well in life and their eBay journey. Thank you, man. So nice, so nice. Just like the way that it was written and everything. I'm wishing everyone well. Wish you well as well, Gecko Guy. Thank you for your comment. Any advice on how you spend your profits? Yeah, I guess you just need to learn. Like, you need to study your sold comps and figure out what did I sell that was easy to sell, easy to list, easy to pack, that I can find more of? And then you got to start asking, how do I find that? Like, finding good inventory is hard. Like that is one of those things you're gonna have to compete with the other people in your area for. But your area is, I think, still where you need to focus. You need to focus on what is an advantage in your area. What can you find in abundance that people will still buy on eBay? And you don't need to wonder if people will buy it. You can just buy some of them, list it on eBay, and see if you're able to sell it. Some people are able to sell things at a much higher sell-through rate than eBay will show, whether it's because you have the right keywords or the right way to take pictures, or you know how to offer the right customer service, but you don't always have to trust the eBay algorithm. And a lot of it's about what you can find and then how you can figure out how to sell it quickly. So look at eBay sold and base your buying decisions based on that. But that's just the average. Like, you can definitely do better than the average with practice, especially once you know a certain category of item. You can start to predict if you can do better than the average or not. So, how to find items, yeah, because I would agree that should be a focus for all of us as eBay resellers, is continuing to find items with higher margins. Like, that is a really well crafted question, because I think, Gecko Guy, that you get it. You get it. That this is a comment from 11 days ago. Gecko Guy will probably never watch this, but if you happen to be watching this, this is something that, what am I trying to say? I think we all need to focus on. Like, that is the holy grail, I think, of inventory, is just higher margin, more profitable. That's what we're here for. So yeah, how do you find higher margin items? Like, my answer would be yes. Like, you're on the right track. Like, that is the question. I don't know the answer for you. It's going to be hard to find. It's going to be dirtier than you might want to handle, or you might have to buy a lot more, or you might have to be able to talk to the right person. But there is a way to find something in your area where you have an advantage that people do want to buy. You just got to figure out what it is. Like, we're resellers. Like, that is part of our job. Like, that's one of the main parts of our job, is finding inventory that might be underpriced, maybe because it's just abundant in your area. I think that's the easiest way to start. Just look for things that are abundant in your area that would cause them to be underpriced locally, but globally they might still maintain the same market value. That's what makes eBay so cool. You can get global market value for these items. So, got another Xbox 360 controller. These are selling for $19.99 plus shipping. You're just knocking them out. I think I have 4 more. Yeah, I have 4 more of those Xbox 360 controllers. And then we can move on to shipping something else. I can see that we're getting to the end of this bubble wrap. I think it's another good sign. It just feels like making money. Every time I have to spend money on boxes or eBay fees. I've learned to accept that, and in fact to celebrate it. Like, yes, that means we are doing business. Like, it's a good thing that I am just plowing through rolls of bubble wrap like no one's business. Especially shipping all these stupid Dell computer monitors recently. I'm just using so much bubble wrap, but that's a sign that I've got inventory that I need to sell, that I've already got listed, that I'm packing it up. Like, these are all the best kinds of problems to have. These are problems of scale when you scale up in your sales. So I'm happy when I have to, like, just before I clicked record on this video earlier, I think I spent $200 on more bubble wrap in addition to my already standing order on American Bubble Boy, which is like 2,000 feet every 2 weeks. Like, I already get so much bubble wrap from them, but I needed to get $200 worth more from American Bubble Boy. But happy to do it. Happy to spend the $200. It's just phony money anyway. It's all digital money, but I know that I'm going to use that money to make more money. So that's something to celebrate to me. Like having, just like when we owned a restaurant and a food cart, like having to continually go back to what we used, which was called Restaurant Depot. And you could buy all your fresh produce, but also your disposable cups and your napkins and stuff. I had to keep going back there when we're busy because often we would run out of stuff and I wasn't always the best at keeping perfect inventory. But that's a good problem to have. That means you're selling items. It's, you know, with the right mindset, you can be pretty grateful, even though it is a pain in the butt sometimes to handle these problems of scaling. So this is 3 Xbox 360 controllers going to the same person. I'm not sure if they're going to fit into this box. No, they're not going to fit. I need to upsize it. I tried to put them in a 10 by 8 by 4, but they need to go into a 10 by 8 by 6. So I have to make another box here. And I'm quite looking forward to stopping and sipping some tea. A good reminder to hydrate out there as we're getting our work done. With these long work days, you cannot forget about your body until the end. I think it's a good idea to try to do little stretches throughout. Definitely continue to eat and drink throughout as well. We are humans, we have bodies, and these bodies need fuel, so always a good reminder. I know every couple, my wife showed me some TikTok the other day where it's like every couple has like one person who is obsessed with drinking water and reminding the other person to drink water, and then there's just the other partner who's not like that. Well, I'm definitely the partner that is obsessed with drinking water. And it's like, what? You have a headache? You drink enough water? That's me. I'm the one who's always asking if people drink enough water. I guess because I'm always asking myself that too. All right. We got a PlayStation controller. 4774 is the SKU number I used for that one. Sold this for $19.99 plus shipping. Just a wireless PlayStation 3 controller, and I include the little USB charging cable too. And Pirate Ship already knows what I need for that one, so I can just do the full shipping label process with just my one hand. Okay, I'm checking the timer again. We're at 19 minutes. I don't know if I've shipped even 19 orders, which would be 1 order a minute. We'll see here. Either way, we'll get it done. Just feel so lucky to be able to have all these orders in my eBay store. Get this stuff out of my house also. Also stoked for that. All right, this is just a single Wii Motion Plus adapter. Sold this for just $2.99 plus shipping, but just a single piece of bubble wrap, easy in, had high demand. I sold at least 5 of these over the weekend, so I can just keep pumping up my store with them and then just let them sell slowly over time. And it starts to feel like each eBay listing is almost like its own little profit generator. And I just need to keep feeding it with more inventory and it keeps selling, just a few per day, trickling into individual buyers. And then occasionally a big whale will come in, some big buyer, and make you an offer for everything that you have left, and that's great too. So this has got an order of 2 Wii Motion Plus adapters going to the same buyer. So that is excellent. Same exact cost for shipping. Just $4.14. I feel like shipping has gone down since the holidays. I wonder if the holiday rate increases have finally stopped. Definitely feels like I'm seeing a lot of sub $5 labels where I didn't see that as often during the holidays. That's pretty cool. Just gonna take advantage of that while we got it. The shipping labels will not go down very often, I feel like. Never depend on that. All right, cheers. I'm gonna have some more of this herbal tea here. Rooibos. So good. Rooibos just never gets bitter too. You can just leave the tea bags in there and just continue to enjoy it. It just gets stronger. Oh, it's perfect. Oh, it's so good. So good. Probably among my 2 favorite teas. I mean, it's not a real tea. It's not caffeinated or anything. It's its own little leaf, but it's an herbal tea. Rooibos, but I love it, and I love being able to have it at nighttime. And it's totally caffeine free. It's just not even related to the tea plant. And I also love pu'er tea. It's a kind of black tea that I just cannot get enough of. Have it almost every day these days. Oh, I just wrapped these up. And yes, it is 2 to the same person, even though I didn't even check yet. But I wrapped up the final 2 Wii Motion Plus adapters, and they are going to the same person, thankfully. So ship that off. I've got a few little checks in my system because I ship tired a lot. Like, I'm definitely feeling the effects of the fact that it's almost 11 p.m. right now. But constantly checking myself, checking the order, checking the quantity on the shipping label, just making sure that everything matches up. It's just so easy to ship the wrong item to the wrong person. But another way that I help prevent that is just through my method of just shipping one item at a time. It's a lot easier to screw up a lot of orders when you're printing labels for a lot of orders at once, and sometimes you can put labels on the wrong box. So there's a lot wrong that can happen when you're shipping a bunch of items and you choose to do a bulk shipping option where you line up your items somehow and then you print a bunch of labels and then put them all on. This one I am individually checking each and every shipping label with the model number that goes along with it as I'm packing each one individually. I've just found that this has the lowest error rate. So it's worth whatever potential time cost there is to being slightly less efficient in this way, but it is more thorough and I think less prone to error. This is a Nintendo DS Lite charging cable, standard $4.99 is what I sold it for, plus shipping. Getting this sold off. And now, I keep saying it, but this is how I pump myself up. Definitely getting momentum. We are almost done with the second box here. The third box is looking intimidating, but I'm not thinking about that right now. Oh, and we do have 2 more Wii Motion Plus adapters. Okay. Let me see. Oh yeah, and also 2 got into a single buyer. We got 2 more of these Wii Motion Plus adapters. Oh yeah. We got the hot tea. That was all the pickup I needed there. It's so fun. I'm gonna pack all these orders and still, I had so much fun this weekend. I obviously wasn't spending my time packing these orders. Just enjoying my time. We have a great, very full life when you have 3 kids. You may not necessarily have gotten much done as a parent, but a lot can have happened. A lot happened. It was just kind of little moments. It's fun to be there for them. Let's see if there's another one. Okay, I do have one more listing for this Nintendo Wii stand. I'm also about to run out of bubble wrap, but I got another backup roll of bubble wrap just right here below me by my feet. That'll be a quick change. I'm gonna pack up this Wii stand. Just checking the clock again. Yeah, we're making progress. But it is gonna slow me down a little bit in this race I'm having with myself, because I'm gonna have to have a little pit stop and replace this bubble wrap roll. I'm gonna try to get this one packed before we run out of bubble wrap. This is a super slim for Sony PlayStation 3. One of the models is called the Super Slim, and this is a 500 gigabyte hard drive and a little tray that goes along with it. I'm just gonna pull off that bubble wrap. Yeah, just the perfect amount to pack this thing up, and then I will change that roll of bubble wrap real quick. So nice to have that freedom too, where tomorrow I can sleep in a little bit. Like, I don't have to get these packages out for their first pickup until maybe around 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And I'm skipping homeschool co-op, so I'm gonna be able to stay up a little bit later tonight. Strategically, I'll sleep in a little bit later than usual, maybe 7 or 8:30 tomorrow. That way I can still have an awesome and productive day tomorrow, but I don't have to worry about having a lack of sleep or anything. All right, that's the second bin done. So we're gonna get this third bin of smalls over here. Smaller items. And then we can just do this very last handful of large boxes. But this is the C3PO edition Xbox 360 controller. I love that. It has the transforming D-pad, chrome gold on top, And then it has these red and white and black lines right here on the bottom. It's so cool. I love that controller. So that's the one. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up that listing, but I do need to get this roll of bubble wrap up there. So I'll get this thing right here. Just gotta click. I use this little dog leash to hold up my bubble wrap, so I just have to unclip the little dog leash thing. I don't even know. It's just one of those little clips that connects to a little screw on my wall. And now we got a new roll of bubble wrap. So this controller sold for $49.99 plus shipping. It's a pretty sought after controller. The chrome gold is cool, and then also having those lines on the bottom, I mean, it's the Star Wars special edition. It's pretty cool. So this one is going in the 12 ounce class. So it's in my medium poly bag, the 13 by 10. And it's going in the 12 ounce weight class. So $5.31 for a label. So definitely over $1 profit on the shipping label too. Gotta love that. And let's update where we at. Okay, I've only done 18 items and it's been 28 minutes. Phew, I am nowhere close to the right pace. That's okay. Can definitely pick it up here. So this is the white and gray Xbox 360 controller. I'm just gonna focus on moving quicker now as I'm talking, but I gotta move my hands a little bit quicker to get these orders done. So I'm gonna pull up another comment here. Yeah, Finding Gadgets 802 asked what tape gun I use. And this one is linked down below in the description, but I think I mentioned before, but I love that 3-inch tape. So this is another one of those white and gray Xbox 360 controllers. After this, I'm gonna get another snack, get a drink, and then we're gonna finish this thing out with a little last burst of energy here. This one's going again in the 12 ounce class. Already got the label saved here. Hit buy label. Bada bing, bada boom. Got it. All right. See you soon. We're back. More herbal tea. Get these things done. Definitely been a little slower than I expected, but when you're working at night, you can't expect yourself to be working at maximum speed. You get what you get. I can't try to expect too much. Like I was saying, at nighttime, if I feel like working, I'm gonna work, but I'm not gonna force myself to work super hard. I think focused effort is more important than speedy effort at the end of the day. It's got to be focused on the right stuff. So I'm just going to be focused on efficient motions here and just going from one item to the next smoothly. And we're just going to start really getting rid of these items quickly, I think, as we get down to the bottom of this bin. So this is another grade B networking adapter. I think it might have been sold in grade A. You know, this one did break, but it looks like very recently. This plastic is just so brittle. So this one needs to be set aside, and I'll have to replace that with a grade A. We're just going to move on. And I'm going to go for another at least 25 minutes. Then I think that might just be what I end up getting shipped out today, and the rest will get shipped out tomorrow. And that's just, that is what it is. This is the Game Genie. I think it included the game as well. I think it might have fallen out, but I don't know if it fell out in the bin where it was stored or if it fell out into the bin where I put it. It's looking like that. I'm gonna have to pause this and take a look here. Okay, I'm back, but only to say goodnight because I'm making mistakes. It's getting too late. I'm losing items, and I think I'm gonna be a lot faster at this tomorrow. So I'm gonna stop it here. I have 49 items left, which means I packed 65 tonight, and I will get the rest done tomorrow. So thank you for coming along with me. This is just the reality of it. I'm not gonna get this stuff done tonight, so I'm not gonna pretend like I'm going to. Right? There's nothing to show you. I'm not going to tonight. I'm going to bed soon. It's now 11:15, so or 11:19 now. So I still need to get a count for all these packages, and we'll set up a pickup for these particular packages that I have done, and we'll just do the rest tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. This is the reality of it, and you get done what you can get done. I mean, that's the lesson here. And now I'm going to bed. So good night. Peace.